Hey guys, MJ Madness here, and the NBA playoffs are right around the corner. So today, I'm going to be giving you my NBA playoff predictions and bracket 2018. Basically, what I'm going to be doing in this video is running through my entire bracket, from the first round all the way up to the NBA Finals, and giving you my predictions and analysis along the way. We're going to kick things off out west with the number 1 seeded Houston Rockets taking on the 8th seeded Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, the Timberwolves didn't even book their spot in the playoffs until the last game of the season, but they aren't an ordinary 8 seed. They have so much talent on this team, including Jimmy Butler, Karl Anthony Towns, and Andrew Wiggins, and I definitely say that they underachieved this season. But unfortunately for Minnesota, they are up against a juggernaut in the Houston Rockets. I do think the Wolves have enough talent to steal a game, but overall, I don't think they give the Rockets too much trouble. I'm taking Houston in 5. Next, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the Utah Jazz. This definitely is an interesting matchup. I think these two teams are definitely very equal, and it should be great seeing them go up against each other. Going into the season, not many people thought the Utah Jazz would be a playoff team, but they've been one of the hottest teams in basketball over the past couple of months, led by rookie Donovan Mitchell. I definitely think they're well coached and well structured, and every single guy on that team seems to have bought into the system. But unfortunately for them, they are up against the Oklahoma City Thunder, who on paper have so much more star power. Russell Westbrook, Paul George, we may even see playoff Melo, and definitely they look like the more talented team. In the end, I can't count against Westbrook and George, and I think that while this series will go the distance, I gotta go with Oklahoma City, so I'm taking the Thunder in a tight 7 games. The Portland Trail Blazers against the New Orleans Pelicans is another interesting series. Again, Anthony Davis is the type of player who can take over a series, but it's definitely too bad that DeMarcus Cousins isn't healthy to help him along. And I think the backcourt of the Portland Trail Blazers will be the difference maker in the series. I think Damian Lillard just steps up in clutch situations, and I think that's going to be enough for the Blazers to take this series in 6 games. And finally, wrapping up the Western Conference, we have a rematch of last year's conference finals in the Golden State Warriors taking on the San Antonio Spurs. But there definitely are some new circumstances concerning this matchup. The Warriors, they will be without Steph Curry in the first round, so I think they actually got a favorable matchup going against a team like the Spurs, rather than, say, the Timberwolves. Because, of course, what it looks like is that Kawhi Leonard will not play in the first round for the San Antonio Spurs. Of course, if Kawhi Leonard did come back for the series, I think everything would change. But for now, the Spurs are, I think, in my opinion, more of a mediocre team that has been coached to success by the legend that is Greg Popovich. And so I think the Spurs are always a tough out in the playoffs. They always put up a fight. But on paper, the Warriors are just so much more talented. So I'm taking Golden State in 5. Moving out east, up first, we have the number 1 seeded Toronto Raptors against the Washington Wizards. The Wizards really have been slumping as of late. They've lost 14 of their last 21 games and seem to be a little bit of a mess. John Wall might not even be healthy, and I think we're going to see a reversal of what happened between these two teams a couple years ago. This time, I'm taking a Raptors sweep. I think they easily handle the Wizards 4-0. Next, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers taking on the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers, much like the Jazz, weren't a team that many saw would make the playoffs going into the season, but they had a surprise in Victor Oladipo. I definitely think he's a shoo-in for the most improved player, and he has had an incredible turnaround, becoming a lethal playmaker and an all-around great player. But, of course, he is against the king of the East in LeBron James. So while I do like this Pacers team, I don't really think they stand a chance against the Cavs. I'm taking Cleveland in 5. The Miami Heat against the Philadelphia 76ers. This is another very interesting matchup. The Heat are an extremely well-coached team, but they don't have as much talent as the Philadelphia 76ers. It's disappointing that Dion Waiters isn't ready for this series, but for the Heat, they are lucky in that Joel Embiid is at least missing the first game of the series, and he may be missing more. The Sixers are a more inexperienced team. They're young, and I think that will cause them issues. I'm tempted to go with the upset here, but I just don't think the Heat have quite enough talent. They are, of course, well coached, and I think they could give any team a run for their money. It's always difficult playing in Miami, and I think while they do give the Sixers a challenge, in the end, Philadelphia will overcome it. I'm taking the Sixers in 6 games. And finally, we have the Boston Celtics up against the Milwaukee Bucks. This is a fascinating matchup because for the Boston Celtics, they are really hurt by injuries right now. Of course, the big name is Kyrie Irving, but they've also had Gordon Hayward out since the beginning of the season. Marcus Smart is out, plus a few other names on their bench. And overall, they've just really been hampered by the injury bug all season long. On the other hand, the Bucks are almost 100% healthy, and I think they definitely have the potential to give this injured Boston Celtics team a run for their money. No doubt, on paper, I think the Bucks are the more talented team. They have the best player on the floor in Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I think Eric Bledsoe, Jabari Parker, Chris Middleton, and Malcolm Brogdon are all very solid and capable second options that all can easily put up 20-plus points a night. But for the Boston Celtics, they definitely have the edge on defense, they have home court advantage, and perhaps most importantly, they have one of the best coaches in the game in Brad Stevens, while the Milwaukee Bucks only have an interim head coach in Joe Prunty. Now, I know that the Celtics are the favorites, but I really do think that the Bucks have a chance to pull off the upset here. Again, I love Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think having the best player in the series makes a world of difference, and I think the Bucks do find a way to pull off the upset, though it definitely will be close, and I absolutely see this series going either way. But I am taking the Milwaukee Bucks in 7 games, and I think they can knock off the Boston Celtics. On to the second round. Up first, starting out west, we have the Houston Rockets against the Oklahoma City Thunder. This series will be a fun one. There is so much star power, so much talent, and seeing these star players go head-to-head will be incredibly entertaining. For the Oklahoma City Thunder, having Paul George and Russell Westbrook makes you competitive with just about any team in this league, but the Houston Rockets are just so dominant. They're so cohesive. They have one of the best backcourts in the NBA, and that team, they are really a monster against anybody. So, while I think OKC will keep it competitive throughout the series, I think they get overpowered by the Rockets. I'm taking the Houston Rockets in 6 games. The Blazers up against the Warriors. This one, I think for the Trailblazers, it'll more be they're just happy to be here. Damian Lillard, of course, is a beast who can steal a game just by himself, but the rest of the team outside of CJ McCollum really isn't there yet. So I think the Warriors will be able to handle the Blazers with relative ease. I'm taking Golden State in 5. Heading out east, we have the Toronto Raptors against the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Raptors are trying to show the NBA world that they are, in fact, different this year for another rematch with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I do agree they definitely have changed their team for the better. Their bench has transformed into one of the best units in the NBA, led by the emergence of Fred VanVleet. DeMar DeRozan has changed his game. The entire team has changed their play style to fit more with the modern NBA. They've adapted. Of course, this was shown by them gaining the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, but still, I can't bet against the king Lebron James. He has made 7 straight NBA Finals for a reason, and so while I do think the Raptors will keep it closer than they have before, in the end, the king will stay king. I'm taking the Cleveland Cavaliers in 6. Finally, the Philadelphia 76ers against the Milwaukee Bucks. This is a glimpse into what the future of the Eastern Conference may look like, with some of the best young talent in the NBA playing on these two teams. But the way I see it, the Philadelphia 76ers have 2 superstars in Embiid and Simmons, and as of now, the Bucks only have 1 in Antetokounmpo. So I think this one will go down to the wire, but I think the Sixers, with home court advantage, will in the end find a way to pull it out. I'm taking Philadelphia in 7 games. So, my predictions for the conference finals: in the West, I have the Rockets against the Warriors, and in the East, I have the Cavs against the 76ers. In the West, the series between the Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors, I think it will be a battle for the ages. These two teams are going to duke it out. In my opinion, the 2 best backcourts in the NBA going head-to-head, and man, will it be so much fun. These two teams are absolutely incredible. While the Warriors have slowed down a bit with without Steph Curry, and with a number of injuries recently, I think they will step it up come playoff time. The Rockets are unproven going into the playoffs, but they've had so much success, I think they will be able to continue that, resulting in a matchup between these two offensive juggernauts in the Western Conference Finals. As for my predictions, I really think this series could go either way. These two teams are so close, and I definitely think no matter what, this series is going 7 games. But I gotta make a prediction, and I'm going with the team that has consistently shown me that they can perform in the playoffs, that has the experience, that has worked together before, and that team is the Golden State Warriors. So I think this will be one of the closest series we've seen in a long while, but I have to give the edge to the Warriors in 7 games. Sorry, Houston. In the East, the Cleveland Cavaliers against the Philadelphia 76ers. This one's a little bit easier for me. The Sixers, of course, they do have a bunch of potential. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons are a scary duo that, when healthy, can challenge anybody. But up against the King, I think for the Sixers, this will be more of a learning experience. They'll get to build experience, they'll get better for the future, and soon they'll be the team that's making runs to the NBA Finals. But as of now, they're just too young, too raw, too inexperienced, and I don't think they're ready yet. I take LeBron and the Cavs in 6 games. So, I am predicting that your 2018 NBA Finals will pit the Golden State Warriors out of the West up against the Cleveland Cavaliers out of the East. I think we'll have a four-peat between these two teams matching up, and it will be just as fun and entertaining as the last 3. These are some of the best players on the face of the earth, and once again, they'll be duking it out head-to-head for the NBA Finals and getting a ring. LeBron James is LeBron James, the best player in the world, and of course, he can always take over games and win a series completely by himself. But when the Warriors are healthy, I think it's going to be difficult for him to do that. This year's Cavs are the weakest we've seen in years. No Kyrie Irving this year. They've dealt with some chemistry issues, dealt with some injuries, and I think they'll make it to the NBA Finals, but I just think the Warriors are a better team. Assuming everybody can stay healthy, I like Golden State here, meaning that my prediction is that the Golden State Warriors will be your 2018 NBA champions. I think the Warriors knock off the Cavs in 6 games. I think it's going to be a competitive series, as always, but LeBron James just doesn't have enough help out there in Cleveland, and I think the Warriors, especially with everybody healthy, and with, of course, Kevin Durant on that team, they'll get the win in 6 games, and for my Finals MVP, I'm going with KD, Kevin Durant, getting that Finals MVP. So that's going to do it for this video. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section whether you agree or disagree with my predictions, and also let me know your own predictions. Who do you think is going to be matching up in the NBA Finals, and who's going to win? Thank you guys for watching, and take care.